Let's start with the key telecoms deal. Let's start with what on earth Sprint and T-Mobile can do to win over the Department of Justice.
I think they've probably done most of what they can do. They've made their concessions pretty clear. They've spent a long time. And actually, if you look at the previous bids, I mean, they've spent the best part of 5 years trying to get this in front of the Justice Department under different administrations. So, look, I think they've made their moves. They played their cards in terms of, the behavioral remedies that they've proposed, the rollout of the 5G network that would obviously be beneficial to America Inc. Now it's a question of whether Del Rahim, who runs the DOJ, decides if this is a deal that he thinks is good. Now, traditionally, 4-3 in any industry is frowned upon, and 3-2 is definitely frowned upon. So whether or not he wants this to go through remains to be seen. But look, the precedent is usually if the DOJ approves something, the FCC follows suit, and we should expect vice versa.
All right, so this could still play out for a while yet. They have, of course, not given any indication officially on how they're leaning. None
officially. And look, there is some interesting things with the cadence here. Usually, the companies went to the FCC to get the request first. Usually, the DOJ would rule first, and then the FCC would follow. So in that sense, this is a slightly different order of events than we're used to seeing. The other thing is this can't be looked at sort of not in this context. If you're Del Rahim, the big move you made since you got that job was going after AT&T Time Warner, and we know where that ended up. It was embarrassing. They lost, but sort of not once, but twice, and pretty spectacularly in terms of the judgment against them. So it's a real question as to whether or not he, even if he does believe there are some problems with this, whether or not he wants to sort of bet in for the fight, because it would be a fight and potentially be another one he would lose.
Let's talk about future deals, or deals that maybe at the moment are hostile, could change. What about cranes? And we're talking the sexy world of industrials right now.
Diversified industrials and flow control. Crane, it made a proper old-school hostile for a rival company called Circor. Very early this morning, we reported the news just before it broke. It's an all-cash deal. I think it's a pretty significant premium, and actually the shares traded up somewhere close to that, about 40-45% above where they were at the close yesterday. Interestingly, in the last hour or so, Circor have come out and rejected the bid. They've said they're not interested. They don't think it's in the best interest of their shareholders. Now, one of the biggest shareholders, in fact, the biggest shareholder in Circor, Mario Gabelli of Gameco, I spoke to him earlier to get his thoughts on this. He told me, look, he thinks this is definitely a deal they should take very seriously. He's very disappointed that they haven't told the shareholders about the previous offers that were made in private, although we should be clear, no obligation on Circor to do so. And he said to me he's also looking to see if there is a way that he can get the board of Circor to actually remove the staggered mechanism, which makes it harder for the shareholders to essentially get rid of board members. And obviously his long-term theory would be if they can get rid of board members, then they can potentially force this company to accept the offer that it has in hand.
Yeah, Gameco with a 5.3% stake in shares outstanding of Crane.
And about 16% in Circor.
Yes. Oh, good point.
So it's actually a very big holder of both companies, but the top holder of Circor.